Hello and welcome to what appears to be one of my favourite videos to do, a tier list, but this time not of the Star Wars variety. It is going to be a Marvel Cinematic Universe tier list, and it's going to be of all the films as you can see on your screen now. Going from Captain Marvel to Wandavision to Iron Man 1, so without further ado, we're going to start off with Iron Man 1 in the B tier. I feel like a lot of people that decide to put this in A or S are a little bit blinded by nostalgia, as this is the first movie of the MCU. However, it is still very, very good. We get to see probably the most iconic Iron Man suit, the introduction of Rhodey, who goes on to become a very important character in the MCU, Pepper Potts, Happy, etc., etc. Obadiah Stane is probably a little underrated of a villain. We don't get to see too much of him. There's not much backstory, and that's why I can understand why people don't like him. But I kind of like him. I really like this movie, so yeah, a very solid B tier movie to start off. Now, next on the list is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, and I'm placing that in C tier. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I do quite enjoy the movie still. I genuinely would say that I like all of the MCU movies, however, some much more than others, and Guardians of the Galaxy is near enough smack bang in the middle of my ranking. Like I said, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the prison break scenes, especially just the whole character of Rocket, Drax, Groot, Gamora, Peter Quill. They're really cool. They work really well as a team. Well, not necessarily they work really well as a team, but like their characters mix together well in terms of making an entertaining movie. That's what I meant to say. So yeah, very good, but however, it's going to be C and no higher. Now, Avengers Age of Ultron gets a lot of stick, but I developed my opinion on this movie way before I understood what other people actually thought of it, so that's a lot of the reason as to why I rank it highly, and I think all of the Avengers movies are at least in A, but you will see which ones I prefer over the others at the very end when I swap around my placings of the films within the rankings that they're in. Now, within this movie, we got Ultron, who's one of my favourite villains. I do believe he is still alive. We did see his head in Spider-Man Homecoming. I want to say that. It could be far from him, I could be wrong. But yeah, we see his head and it appears to be on. We also see Wanda, who went on to become a very important character in the MCU and is very, very powerful now. And Quicksilver, who sadly died because I actually really liked him. And I saw something that was saying that Hawkeye was actually meant to go back in Endgame to bring Quicksilver back to the future, but instead he went and got the baseball glove to prove that the time travel worked. But yeah, I really like Age of Ultron, so it's going in A. Now, I appreciate I don't have that much time, so I'm going to try and stop waffling, and Ant-Man is another one of the good MCU movies, but again, it's not spectacular, it's relatively average. I like Scott Lang and Ant-Man as a character, Hank Pym, Wasp, etc, etc. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is better, so spoilers for when I rank that, but yeah, decent movie, but nothing too special. Captain America Civil War, the movie where my opinion changes on it the most, but it has never changed from the fact that it is a very good movie. Sometimes I think it's overrated and people only like it purely due to the amount of characters that are in it, like Spider-Man, Black Panther, obviously Cap, Iron Man, etc, etc. But at the end of the day, it is actually very good. The story behind it is great, the villain is great, Zemo, and I absolutely do enjoy it very much, so it is staying in A. Now, don't be fooled by the fact that it's underneath Age of Ultron. I am switching around the rankings within the tiers at the end of the video, so you're going to have to stay to see where I put it. Doctor Strange would definitely be in A at least if I hadn't rewatched it quite recently. I've only watched it twice, and the first time I watched it, if you've seen it, you will understand how easily it would be to rank it so high. Like, visually, it's incredible. Doctor Strange is an incredible character, like the Sorcerer Supreme and all the sorcerers. It's just very different to all the others, and I really enjoyed it. But after rewatching it, I realised that the movies above it, I do actually prefer to it. But yeah, it's very good, and it is going to join Iron Man 1 in B. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, however, I do really like the characters, but yeah, Ego was not it for me. I did not enjoy him as a villain, and this movie just wasn't it for me, so it is going to be going below Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and Ant-Man. Yeah, I will happily rewatch this movie whenever, but it's just not one of my personal favourites in the MCU. Spider-Man Homecoming is going to be going in B with Iron Man 1 and Doctor Strange. Yeah, another very, very solid movie. I'll happily rewatch this whenever. Vulture was a good, low, power scale villain, which is exactly what Spider-Man needed, and I hope we see many more Spider-Man movies in the future. I know Tom's contract is running out, but they can always be renewed. The first Thor movie of this tier list, and I think many people will agree that this is the best Thor movie as well. The perfect mixture for me of comedy and action, and yeah, it is an absolute S tier MCU movie. I loved it. It really, really redeemed the character of Heimdall. Well, not necessarily redeemed, but turned him into a good character. Like, he wasn't a villain; he didn't need to be redeemed. But yeah, Loki was incredible in it. Bruce Banner / the Hulk was really cool to see in it. After Age of Ultron, Valkyrie got introduced. She was incredible. Odin died. Hela was introduced. Ragnarok happened. Surtur was introduced. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Black Panther, another incredible MCU movie. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. What an incredible actor he was. He portrayed T'Challa probably better than anyone else in the world could, in my opinion. Yeah, this movie was great. Killmonger was an incredible villain. I wish we saw potentially a little bit more of him. But at the end of the day, we got what we got, and he was a great villain for this movie. And sometimes, we don't need a villain to last multiple movies, and I think Killmonger was actually a really good example of that. Like every other movie, if it was 20 minutes longer just to have some extra bits, it would be so much better. But yeah, you can't always get what you want. Avengers Infinity War, probably the majority of people's number one movie. How good was this? Like many movies that I really love, Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, the good guys don't always win, and yeah, this brought together characters from Black Panther, Doctor Strange, which I really, really like, and have them all fight the best MCU villain of all time, Thanos, and ultimately they lose. We lose some of our favourite characters, some temporarily, some not so temporarily, or at least we fought Vision, and yeah, I don't really see how it can go anywhere else than S. Okay, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I spoke about this a little bit earlier. I definitely prefer it to Ant-Man 1, mainly due to how important Wasp was in this movie. She is a great character. I can't wait to see more of her in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantum Mania, I don't even know if that's the name of it, but it's got Quantum Mania in the title of the movie, and it's got Ant-Man in it. So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. It linked together Infinity War and the setup for Endgame very, very well. So yeah, B tier. Captain Marvel, probably a little bit underrated by most, however, it isn't the best movie. It's definitely not bad. I've got it with Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, which I enjoy in C tier. And yeah, she's a very powerful character, she's a very interesting character. I can't wait to see more of her with Monica Rambeau, but yeah, at the end of the day, this was a movie that would have belonged in Phase 1 and probably would have been ranked higher by most people if it was, but it was just introduced a little bit too late, so it didn't keep up with what we'd already seen at the time, such as Civil War, for example. Speaking of underrated movies, we have The Incredible Hulk. Now, I know I have it in E, and it's because it is genuinely one of the worst MCU entries. However, it's not terrible. I watched it the other day. It is, at the very least, watchable. Hulk vs. Abomination is an incredible fight scene as well. Yeah, I think a lot of the reason why people don't like it is because of the actor change from Ed Norton to Mark Ruffalo, and we're obviously in preference of Mark Ruffalo as we see him more. But yeah, it's not terrible, but it's just not great. Now, speaking of great, we have Avengers Endgame. Like the other S tier movies, it's literally perfect. There's very, very minor things that I would change if I were in charge and I had this thing in front of me. One of them would not be Nat surviving and Clint dying, because Clint needed to survive because he has a family, but yeah, S tier definitely. Now, Spider-Man Far From Home, I have actually recently rewatched, as I have also rewatched The Hulk and Spider-Man Homecoming recently too, so I feel like I have a pretty good judgment of it. It's a very, very good movie, a fantastic villain, Tom Holland is amazing, and yeah, I love Nick Fury and he was in it, so yeah, A tier. The most underrated movie in the MCU, Iron Man 2. For some reason, everyone hates Whiplash as a villain. I actually really liked him. I really enjoyed the end battle. I love the character of Rhodey in this. And yeah, I thought this was very, very good. I watched Iron Man 2 before I understood people didn't like it, so I think that helps my judgment of it. And yeah, B tier. Thor 1. Now, yes, the Thor trilogy is definitely worse than the Captain America and Iron Man trilogy, but Thor 1 is probably underrated. To be honest, just like Iron Man 2, I watched it before I understood the hate for it, so it helped me, and yeah, I actually quite like it. There's not too much more to be said. Speaking of Captain America, how good is the first Avenger? Honestly, a lot of my favourites are genuinely like the really underrated ones. Like, a lot of people I know would have Iron Man 2 and E. Captain America the First Avenger, for a lot of people, is just an average MCU movie. No, I really, really like the First Avenger. I think it's different. I love Captain America, and yeah, I think it's A tier. I'm going to try and stop talking as much. So, Avengers 1, the classic, wow, incredible. The way that they assembled the team was great. Obviously, Nick Fury is a big character in this, and as you will notice, any movie with Nick Fury will be relatively high. So, yeah, Avengers 1, A tier. So, Iron Man 3 I have in B. Now, if you want to see where it actually ranks for me, you're going to have to wait to the end where I do a little bit of a reshuffle. But yeah, I really like the Iron Man movies, to be honest. Tony Stark is sick, is in a good way, obviously. Yeah, I wish we maybe got one fight where his suit was fully operational. Obviously, it was only like a unfinished suit, but yeah, beat it. Thor: The Dark World, finally a low-ranking film that actually is agreed on by a lot of people. Thor: The Dark World is probably the worst entry in the MCU, however, I don't think it's terrible. A lot of the hate it gets is because of the villain Malekith, but I think it's okay. It's just a bit too similar to Thor 1, like, oh, Asgard's ancient villains have risen again and we gotta kill them, so yeah, it's not the best. Captain America the Winter Soldier, another Nick Fury special, ranking highly. I think it's quite a loved film in the franchise, and for good reason too. It is 100% staying in S tier for me, probably forever. Now, Wandavision, obviously, not a movie like the rest, however, it was still a very good series. It goes in A tier. A lot of people are disappointed by it, but I think that's due to a lot of the theories about people like Mephisto coming in. But yeah, it was really interesting, to be honest, to see how Wanda actually handles herself after Endgame. Like, she has no one. Hawkeye retired, Captain America's got old, her brother Pietro's dead, Vision is dead, so yeah, interesting. Okay, here is the reshuffle I was talking about. I've also ranked them from left to right, best to worst, and I would also like to say this is filmed before episode 6 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but as of right now, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier would be the top of A tier if episode 6 is what I expect it to be, so yeah. However, if we're going to go just on the 5 episodes I've actually seen, I would swap Far From Home and Age of Ultron and then put it above Far From Home. I hope that episode 6 is incredible. Obviously, this is being released, I think, on the day that I'm recording it, on the Tuesday. So yeah, Friday we're getting it. Can't wait for that. But that is my MCU ranking. Let me know if I've got this absolutely spot on, or if I've missed by a country mile. Yeah, whilst you're down there in the comments, let me know. Make sure you click the red button on the way to subscribe. Like the video too, I really appreciate it. Let's get to 1.5k as soon as we can. We're expected to hit 1.2 today, as if this is being released before I hit that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and in a bit.